here are the 10 teams in this fourth and final heat. 3 of them are from CrossFit Invictus from just down the road in San Diego, California. At lane 6, that's CrossFit Franco's Misfits. We'll be keeping an eye on them. And for more on that team, here's Nikki Brazier.
Thank you, Sean. That Misfit team is really taking Jamie's keys to heart. Deciding exactly which athlete to start where has been difficult for them because of exactly figuring out who's going to be strongest on that bag. Now, they said that Brandon is probably their strongest athlete mentally, so they're counting on him to finish strong for them and spend a lot of time in the pain cave.
But down in lane 10, this is a team to watch too. First year that they have been a team, the Rhino CrossFit Dogs, Jamie.
That's right. They're under one of the best coaches in the game, Justin Kotler. Every single one of these members has been to the games on a team before, but Brittany Morella is looking for her first appearance there.
The final heat underway, 21 minutes, 36.14 seconds. The top time from Verdant CrossFit. They put that up in the prior heat. There is CrossFit Franco's Misfits. Brandon Luckett, Alexis Johnson, Shaylin Laurie, and Logan Collins. A ton of experience for that squad.
This is a stacked field, so it is exciting for these teams, some of them to take the field for the first time, and in this first test, it's really going to make a statement of what their team is about and what they're planning to do the rest of this season.
Logan Collins starting on the bike for his team.
Which means he is going to end on that double under and then bring it on home with that sandbag.
That's the Rhino CrossFit Dogs down in lane number 10. Rafael Durand is the man holding the bag. There's Ethan Helbig. On the bike, and you know, he's probably enjoying this. He's a former ice hockey goalie, and those guys are, you ever met an ice hockey goalie? They're a little bit of a punter vibe sometimes.
And an individual games competitor himself. They're just built different, huh, Sean? Those ice hockey players.
It takes someone special to want to wear all that equipment and get
punched in the face.
Vulcanized rubber shot at them at a velocity of 90 miles an hour. Lane 5, one of the 3 teams on the floor right now from Invictus. That is CrossFit Invictus. Team that stood on the podium at the CrossFit Games last year, and one of the teams that people think has a chance to push East Nashville Proven in Madison. They have to get there first.
I love it. Brittany Weiss has a smile on her face. She's kind of laughing that she has to hold this sandbag. Smiling through that sandbag, that is a true warrior right there.
Brittany Weiss and Devin Kim out front. It's Joshua Alchama and Jorge Fernandez behind them on the machines.
And they're really the big talk of the town this weekend. Really seeing, you know, setting the pace, making sure coming in, knowing being one of the favorites, they're going to have a huge target on their back as some of these teams try to chase them down.
We got a long way to go, but there is a realistic chance that Invictus sends 3 teams to the CrossFit Games here.
Yeah, I believe that's only happened one other time with Mayhem. But they said this year with CrossFit Invictus, this team here, Unconquerable and Sea of Green, this is some of their best 3 teams they've ever seen.
This is lane 8. That's CrossFit Invictus, Sea of Green. And lane 4, CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable. They will be the first team to the bag. Hunter Britt, Emily Rethel, Jesse Smith, and Eric Carmody. Carmody, another guy who competed as an individual at the CrossFit Games out of Asia a while back. Former football player for Jacksonville University. And all 3 Invictus teams were the first 3 to get to the worm.
I mean, you can only imagine when you have 3 of these teams going head-to-head in competition. I know they spend a lot of times with their teams, their own individual teams, but when you get the 3 of them together and pushing each other on a day-to-day basis, this is how you get better.
Lanes 4 and 5, Invictus Unconquerable on the left. They'll be the first to move the worm. And they're back for round number 2. Got through that round in about 4 minutes, 14 seconds. And CrossFit Invictus, they are done.
It'd be interesting to see how they did in training when they tested this out before coming here. If they did the full thing, if they're on par with their times when they tested this out.
And down in lane 8, CrossFit Invictus Sea of Green. They're the third team done. In lane 3, CrossFit Kilo 2 has finished as well. And now just about every team is through this opening round. The 3 teams from Invictus, the top 3 teams on your screen now.
This is major bragging rights for whichever Invictus team takes this one.
I mean, the fact that they have 12 people in one house that are this fit.
And alternates and other people who could have made on the team that made the team.
Second of 4 rounds here. The lane number 4 on the far left, that's CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable. They're in the lead. Next to them, in the box on the left side of your screen, CrossFit Invictus. And then on the right, CrossFit Invictus Sea of Green. Eric Carmody hanging onto that sandbag. That shouldn't be a problem for him.
You see Josh peeking over at either Eric or his judge to make sure he's good. They're going to make that quick switch.
Emily Rethwell is on the runner. And Hunter Britt is the man on the bike. And Jesse Smith is on the double unders.
You see Eric drop his bag there. It's hard for him to get his hands all the way around. If he can clasp his hands together, he'd get a little better handle on that sandbag. But if you do not, that's a lot of grip fatigue.
Well, luckily, that was the end of his effort on the sandbag. Now, Carmody and Smith will switch. Carmody now with 150 double unders to crank through.
Devin Kim looking solid and strong with that sandbag. Been to the games multiple times as a teen. She is one strong woman.
Joshua Alchama is the man on the double unders, and Jorge Fernandez is on the runner. Brittany Weiss is back on the bike.
When you're so in tune, have such great chemistry, you know you can push and suffer for your teammates. You know when they're feeling it, when you need to drop, when you need to let off, when you need to push a little harder. They know each other in and out, and they are looking really solid here in the second round.
And there's a couple of Invictus individuals.
Just a couple.
In the crowd. Got Chandler Smith watching his wife compete here, Jessie Smith, and then Sam Dancer. CJ Martin, the coach on the left there in the gray hoodie.
Dissecting this workout. Probably seen him do it a couple times.
Get to watch Chandler compete starting tomorrow as the individuals will kick off their competition weekend. Holden Rethwell also out there watching his wife. Second of 4 rounds. We'll see who moves to the worm first. Looks like it's going to be Invictus. CrossFit Invictus in lane 5. Passing CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable for the lead now.
And CrossFit Invictus wasn't the first one to finish the 10 worm clean and jerks in the first round.
Invictus Unconquerable is waiting on Eric Carmody to finish up his 150 double unders. Meanwhile, CrossFit Invictus continues to work their way through their second set of 10. The time to beat in this test here in North America West is 21 minutes, 36.14 seconds. We got a couple more teams moving to the worm now for round 2. Rhino CrossFit Dogs down in lane number 10. CrossFit Kilo 2, and now here comes CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable. CrossFit Omnia is there as well, as Invictus has advanced the worm first. Halfway through at the 9-minute mark.
And in a test like this that is high work capacity, low skill, it really comes down to who is willing to suffer, who is the fittest and who is willing to put it all out there, push it to the limits, and see who can hang on.
But the 9-minute mark is when Invictus finished their first 2 rounds, and we showed you the top time from East Nashville proven from last week, 19 minutes 35 seconds for them.
You see Josh out there with his double unders. He's a taller athlete, but he's moving because he knows Jorge is holding that bag and trying to get those done as quickly as possible.
CrossFit Kilo 2, they stay in second place, second team to advance their worm. CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable getting ready to finish up down to lane 9, undefeated CrossFit. And the Rhino CrossFit Dogs, top of your screen, those 2 teams advancing the worm. It's a tight battle behind our leaders as CrossFit Invictus.
You see Jorge's face right there. He is really, that bag is compressing everything. His heart rate is through the roof. It is taxing on your low back, your hamstrings, your glutes. He's gonna rest it on his legs for a moment.
Joshua Alchama's judge's hand was in the air, which means he should be close to finishing this up. So Jorge just got to gut his way through the rest of this hold. Lane 9 and 10, 2 teams we're keeping an eye on here as they're creeping up. They're on the right side of the screen, undefeated CrossFit in the middle of the. And then on the far right side of the screen is the Rhino CrossFit Dogs.
See Jorge Fernandez's hand slipping. He doesn't have a grip around that, but luckily, Josh finishes double unders so they can make that switch.
Right side, that's CrossFit Kilo 2. They moved into second place here in this heat. Austin Nettleclough is the man on the runner. Behind him is Brandon Hornback. I believe that's Ali Zerke on the bag and Dieter Franzen on the double unders.
Interesting, she took a break on her double unders. It was just a quick break, not enough time for her to, they're talking, you see the communication, right? If she's gonna break in those double unders, she's letting her know, like, I'm gonna get right back on it, or for let her putting that bag down. But she's gonna choose to hold on to that, Sean.
Dieter Franzen trying to get this set of 150. Down in lane number 9, undefeated CrossFit. Next to the Rhino CrossFit Dogs, Ethan Helbig for Rhino CrossFit Dogs picking up the bag. Undefeated is starting to push Kilo 2 here for second place. May have actually passed them. And they are now in second place is undefeated CrossFit.
And like we talked about earlier, it's not, this workout is not won in the first and second round. It is who has enough energy in the tank, who can push through in that round 3 and 4 and really stay consistent and move that worm clean and jerk in those final rounds.
Ryan Jevning is the man on the double unders. Richard Deschamps is on the runner. Anna Rebizant on the bag. And Marley Rittinger is back there on the bike. Our leaders continue to be CrossFit Invictus in lane number 5. Joshua Alchama and Jorge Fernandez working together. Alchama's on the bag, Fernandez on his double unders. And once he is done, they will start their 3rd round of worm clean and jerks.
You see the speed and sense of urgency Jorge's moving out on those double unders. You can pull on that rope, get quick little jumps on that. And he's breathing pretty heavily as they head over to this 3rd round of worm clean and jerks.
Here comes Invictus into round 3, all by themselves in the lead here. 21 minutes, 36.14 seconds. The top time so far in this test. Verdant CrossFit did that in heat 3.
So this worm that we see CrossFit Invictus with, it is 365 pounds. It's a 100-pound bag in the front. a 70, 170. That's why it goes male, female, male, female. There's 3 6-pound spacer bags in there, and then the outside shell is going to be 7 pounds, bringing it to a total of 365 pounds and 11 feet long.
Well, CrossFit Kilo 2 and CrossFit Franco's Misfits get to the bag at the same time in second place. Kilo 2 is the team towards the bottom of the screen. There's your time to beat in the bottom left-hand part, as Invictus has 2 reps remaining before they will move into round 4.
It's really interesting. You see Alexis Johnson, Brandon Luckett, Logan Collins, all incredible individual athletes. We talked about them having 11 games appearances between the 3 of them. And with Shaylin as an additive, who's a great athlete, you wonder how much time they had for team chemistry. As you see, CrossFit Invictus has all of that and the experience and great individual athletes themselves as well.
Invictus going back for their 4th and final round here on the bike, the runner, the sandbag, and the double unders. Kilo 2, right side of your screen, they are in second place. They are now advancing their worm. And one more look at this test. Well, Invictus has fallen off the record pace from East Nashville Proven, but still very much ahead of Verdon CrossFit's pace from the prior heat.
And these are fast double unders Jorge Fernandez is pulling here. He's getting a quick jump, spinning that with his wrists, keeping that rope nice and taut. Brittany Weiss is on that sandbag hold. They will do one final switch with Jorge bringing it home on that sandbag and Brittany Weiss with her double unders before they can get back to their final round of worm clean and jerks.
CrossFit Franco's Misfits on the right, Logan Collins and Brandon Luckett. They sit in second place behind Invictus, and on the left, it's CrossFit Kilo 2.
Now in Kilo 2, they are not a team to be overlooked at all. They came off of a 25th place finish at the games last year as a team. Returning some of their same teammates, they're definitely in the mix here and in contention for getting on that podium at the end of the weekend.
Kilo 2 and Franco's Misfits started their 3rd round of worm clean and jerks at about the same time. Jorge Fernandez is just about done with his 150 double unders. His judge's hand is in the air, and now he will make the switch.
And this is what we talked about. How much can you suffer and hold that sandbag in the final round? The last test really holding them before getting back to that worm. Jorge's gonna pick that up high on his chest. He has his hands interlocked right now. Short, quick breaths. It's gonna restrict your breathing. His heart rate is high from those double unders he just finished.
Meanwhile, Luckett and Collins are switching for CrossFit Franco's Misfits.
We talked about the sandbag and the dumbbell unders being a really tough, challenging part about this test, but that runner and bike, you have to move on that. It's not like you could take it easy. You know, you're only finishing as fast as the slowest movement. However, if your teammates are holding that sandbag and moving on those double unders, you got to move on those bike and runners.
Top 3 teams on the screen. On the left in 3rd place, CrossFit Kilo 2. And then on the right, the 2 teams in lanes 5 and 6. CrossFit Invictus on the left, and CrossFit Franco's Misfits on the right.
And we see how high, Jorge had that bag really high up on his chest, but we see it sliding down and finally has touched his hips and his legs, which it cannot be touching at all. Once it does that, you have to stop your double unders. But just the fatigue and the low back, your hamstrings, your glutes, his arms are separate, his hands are separated right now on that bag. He is holding on for dear life, praying that Brittany is almost done with her double unders.
The bag is down, and Invictus is finished.
Perfect timing, perfect pacing.
We have more than 2 minutes to go before we hit the time to beat from Verdant CrossFit. The event record will stay with East Nashville Proven. The CrossFit Invictus is going to pick up 100 points here in test number 1, and now with no rep. Now here come both Franco's Misfits and Kilo 2 at the same time.
The beautiful part about live competition, you look to your left, you look to your right, you see these teams coming, catching ground on you, you gotta pick up that bag.
Invictus only has 5 reps remaining. They're in the middle here. The battle is for second place between Franco's Misfits and Kilo 2.
And it's who saved enough energy in the tank for these final last 10 worm clean and jerks, and who is willing to suffer.
And Kilo 2 on the left side of your screen, they continue to move backwards. They're a little farther away from the finish. As Invictus is in, that's a test win for them, and 100 points to kick off their weekend. And now we'll see who takes second place, as I believe it's Franco's Misfits, neck and neck with Kinesis.
Whew.
Or probably CrossFit Kilo 2. Kilo 2 had 1 rep remaining. They left early. Franco's Misfits is in, Kilo 2, and now a no rep. Now the good news is for them, no one else is on the floor on the worm. They got to get this sorted, but they have plenty of time.
Costly no reps. The fatigue, you wonder that mental fatigue on them, just mental errors.
And that's going to be good enough for a third place finish, not only in this heat, but also the test. So the mistake does not cost them. So 3 teams now 4 in their final sets. Lane 7 CrossFit Omnia, lane 9 Undefeated CrossFit, and lane 10 Rhino CrossFit Dogs.
And you look at the aftermath of this workout, what this is doing to these athletes. They are on the floor. Tough way to start off your weekend.
Omnia closing out their final set. They're in. Leaves Undefeated and Rhino fighting for 5th place in the heat. And Undefeated is going to win that battle. Rhino right behind them.
And in this test, the women have the chip timer on around them, so they need to get across that line for their final time to be stopped.
Down in lane 1, that's Coda CrossFit Redemption. They come across with a time of 22 minutes, 25.01 seconds. That will be a top 10 finish overall in the test. They will take 9th place. Lane 8, CrossFit Invictus Sea of Green. As the 2 Invictus teams are the only 2 teams working on the worm right now. They were both in the lead early, but faded as this test went on. Final rep for CrossFit Invictus Sea of Green. They are done. CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable now with 1 rep left. And they are in, and that leaves just 1 team left, and that's CrossFit Believe in lane 2. Shelby Jones, Josh Mattis, Lauren Olson, and Hayden Weddle with 10 reps remaining. Now 9. Final 5 reps for CrossFit Believe.
they'll finish well under that time cap. I heard you guys talking to Boz last weekend, and he said he made it a lengthy time cap because he wanted all of these teams, or as many as they can, to finish this test, to start off their week.
This will be the last rep, so every team in the fourth and final heat will get inside the 28-minute time cap. CrossFit Invictus starts off with a victory and 100 points, 20 minutes, 27.70 seconds. 10 teams in this fourth and final heat. Lane number 7, that's CrossFit Omnia. They come in 5th place overall after a 5th place finish in the opening test.
And this team is built for classic CrossFit. These men on this team are team specialists, and this is what they're made for, an event, a test just like this.
250 reps is the score to beat from CrossFit Complex, who got one pair well into the round of 30 thrusters. So we open with the 3 muscle-ups and the 5 thrusters. And as Jamie said, we're going to increase the muscle-ups by 2 every round. The thrusters go up by 5. Just about every team gets their first pair through. Now second pair. 3 muscle-ups, 5 thrusters. And the only rule here as far as work that the pairs have to do, everyone has to do at least 1 ring muscle-up. You can switch in the middle of the sets as well.
CrossFit Kilo, you saw them in that first test. They were so close to getting second, but they got a no rep, a costly no rep. But what we're looking at going into this is that how well can they respond to that? Can they come back in test 2 and crush this one even after having a little slip up on test number 1?
Still finished inside the top 3, but they did surrender 3 points because of that mistake. And last week, the 3 points were extremely valuable in certain cases. Every team now on to round number 2, 5 muscle-ups and 10 thrusters. Middle of the floor, it's Invictus and Franco's Misfits. Your top 2 teams. Also, CrossFit Omnia is in the mix in lane 7. They're on the right side of your screen. Omnia, Franco's Misfits, and Invictus all done at the same time. Second pair now onto the 5 muscle-ups and 10 thrusters.
And at this level, these athletes will have no problem going unbroken on these muscle-ups. They got to move with a sense of urgency, get to those thrusters, and get the next pair out there.
Brandon Luckett and Alexis Johnson working together. They have taken the lead now. Here comes Invictus. And in lane 7, CrossFit Omnia. Bear Complex is offering fans the ultimate VIP experience at the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games. Scan the QR code now for your chance to win free tickets, a meet and greet with Noah Olson, and a Bear Complex prize pack filled with top quality gear. Franco's Misfits in the lead now as every team has gotten into round 3. 7 muscle-ups and 15 thrusters.
Seeing Jorge Fernandez catch high on those rings. You do have to pass through through some portion of the dip on there, but he's going to catch high as he can and then lock out those elbows at the top to pass through that dip.
The official score to beat, 251 reps, so 251 from CrossFit Complex in the prior heat.
You'll see all these teams when they get to their thrusters, they're going to go in straight into that squat clean, that cluster, a squat clean thruster, so they don't have to stand all the way up with that. It's a quicker way to get to the bottom of your squat and get started on your thrusters right away.
Invictus looks like they are really creeping up on Franco's Avengers here, but Franco's Misfits. Shaylin Laurie and Logan Collins closing out their 15 thrusters, and now Alexis Johnson and Brandon Luckett out onto the floor. Also CrossFit Omnia is towards the front. So very tight between the top 3 teams here so far. Luckett and Johnson onto the barbell. Luckett's got to wait at the bottom there for Johnson.
And Alexis is coming off a 5th place finish at the CrossFit Games last year with CrossFit Mayhem Independence. So she's no stranger to team competition and excelling on the big stage with a lot on the line.
CrossFit Believe on lane 2, left side, starting to threaten to move into the top 3. As Franco's Misfits are done, Luckett and Johnson going back. Right side of your screen, that's Omnia, Jacob Schmidt and Mary Kay Dreisilker, on the barbell for them. Alchama and Devin Kim paired up for Invictus. And now every team has moved on to round 4. 9 muscle ups, 20 thrusters. Not even halfway through the allotted 15 minutes. 251 reps, the score to beat here.
And they're in that round of 9 and 20 with a little over 5 minutes into this workout. This is where it's going to be a mental grind. You got to keep on pushing, keep that pace up high, because when we get into those later rounds, those reps are going to add up. You've got to try to get as far as you can in this AMRAP.
And Franco's Misfits starting to separate themselves now in lane 2. CrossFit Believe, they've moved into 2nd place. They're on the left side of your screen. Shelby Jones and Josh Mattis on the barbell for Believe on the left side. 2nd place now behind Franco's Misfits.
And CrossFit Believe needs a big bounce back after being last in this heat in test number 1. So they're looking at sitting pretty in that 2nd place so far, see if they can catch up to Franco's Misfits.
Finished 16th in that opening test in CrossFit Believe. Top 10 teams from the semifinal advance to Madison, Wisconsin in the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games. Luckett and Lori in the middle of that box on the right. They're your leaders for Franco's Misfits. Left side of the screen, that's CrossFit Believe. That's Lori Olson and Hayden Whittled, who are working on the muscle ups for their team. Omnia and Invictus fighting for 3rd right now, but they're close behind Believe. And here come Alexis Johnson and Brandon Luckett. This will close out round 4 for them. 20 thrusters here.
We'll see if they decide to stay unbroken on these thrusters. They're moving at a quick pace. Even though Alexis is a little bit smaller than Brandon, he's pulling down on that bar. They're going to lock out in the position overhead at the top of those thrusters.
Lauren Olson and Hayden Weddle, left side of your screen for CrossFit Believe in 2nd place. And now Omnia and Invictus on the right side to the barbell at the same time to start their 2nd set of 20 thrusters. Franco's Misfits, Luckett and Johnson keep the lead, advancing the barbell into round 5 now. 11 muscle ups and 25 thrusters. Shaylin Laurie and Logan Collins getting to work.
I spoke with Alexis Johnson about this work, and she said that her team was stoked about this test in particular. She said Logan is one of the best muscle uppers in the game here, and so we expect to see a big step from him here and hopefully hang on to that round in the 13 and the 30.
251, that's the score to beat, and right now the Misfits and Believe as well ahead of that pace. Collins and Laurie are done, and they will advance to the barbell for their set of 25 thrusters, 65 pounds and 95 pounds on the barbell. And we will wait for Believe in lane 2. So CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable in lane 4. They are threatening to take 2nd place in this heat right now, and here they come. Hunter Britt and Jesse Smith will be 2nd to the barbell, and then the other pair from Invictus, Brittany Weiss and Jorge Fernandez.
And you saw that separation happen because Franco's Misfit was able to go unbroken on that round of 11 muscle-ups. Believe had to take a break in there, which allowed both Invictus teams to catch up with them.
Franco's Misfits, they have stayed in the lead here. Second place behind them has been a revolving door. Now Collins and Laurie towards the right, they will be finished first in this set of 25, and they will tag in their partners here.
And that's what we talked about, all gas, no brakes. You see the look on their faces. They are in pain there, but they know that they're going to get a bigger break here because Alexis and Brandon have to go 11 and 25 as well here. So they have to try to catch their breath, let their muscles recover, and get after that last set when they come back to them.
Invictus has now moved into second place behind Franco's Misfits.
I spoke with Josh Alchama before this, and he said that they were going to try to hang on for unbroken sets towards the end of this as well, and that him and Devin ended up being a better pairing together, and that Jorge and Brittany were a great pair, so that we're going to see big sets of unbroken for them here in these last rounds of bar muscle-ups and ring muscle-ups.
Brandon Luckett and Alexis Johnson onto their set of 25 thrusters. And they have a great pace going right now. Top scores from last week. 269 reps from AB CrossFit Mayhem. Move fast, lift heavy, 4 back of them.
And this is where you have to make it hurt. This will be the last time they'll be on the floor for these 25 thrusters. So a quick short break, their breathing is up, their legs are fatigued, but they got to keep on pushing, stay on track. You see Brandon waiting for Alexis at the top of that thruster, and they're pushing that pace.
CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable, they moved into third behind Invictus and Franco's Misfits. Luckett and Johnson with 2 reps left. And they will move into the round of 13 muscle-ups and 30 thrusters. We have yet to see a pair get through this round.
And this is Logan Collins' bread and butter. You see Alexis across that line, laying down. We've all been there before, but this right here, this is where Logan Collins and Shaylin Laurie will shine on these last round of 13 muscle-ups.
Well, Alchama and Kim are done, and they'll bring in Weiss and Fernandez.
It's when that last teammate crosses that last portion of the rig is when it releases that next pair to be able to start their bar muscle-ups and ring muscle-ups synchro.
Invictus, they took the opening test, locked up 100 points. Right now, second place behind Franco's Misfits. Misfits finished second to Invictus in that opening test.
Which is interesting. We'll see if they flip off and go 1-2 here again.
3 reps remain for Shaylin Laurie and Logan Collins. They're taking a break.
You see them trying to catch their breath.
Brittany Weiss and Jorge Fernandez are on the left side of your screen.
And in
now
the
they get
background,
back to work.
in the background, you see their teammates are just so fatigued, and they are on the ground, but they have got to try to catch their breath, recover, because if they get through these 30 thrusters, guess what? They have to tag back in to get as many muscle-ups as they can.
They need 18 thrusters to tie CrossFit Complex.
They just got hit with a no rep. Their depth wasn't low enough on that the bottom of their squat on the thruster.
Well, Laurie and Collins pushing through here in this round of 30. They need 8 more to tie CrossFit Complex and have more than a minute to do it.
This is where you got to dig deep. You got to make it hurt. You got to push that pace.
Match to the tie. This rep will give them the top score. The Franco's Misfits in the lead here now. Omnia and Invictus are both to the barbell here in the set of 30. Also down in lane number 2, CrossFit Believe. They're on this set as well. The final 5 reps here for Collins and Laurie. Trying to bring in Alexis Johnson and Brandon Luckett to possibly get some reps. And they're through. The Johnson and Luckett are going to have a chance maybe just to add on to this total. Handful of seconds left here for the two of them. And they're able to get 2 muscle ups in. So Franco's Misfits are going to finish first in test number 2. And depending on what happened behind them, they could be your overall leaders after 2 tests.
Welcome back to the North America West Semifinal. This is Heat 2 for team test number 3. I'm Chase Ingham with Adrian Conway as our top 20 teams from day number 1 are making their way to the competition floor for team test number 3. Adrian, this is what we got going on for them. We have the relay format for test 3, and let them know what we got going on.
So this is going to go female, male, rotating through. The first female and male are going to be responsible for a 400-meter run on that assault runner, 10 dumbbell bench press at 90 pounds and 60 pounds, 15 single-leg squats on the right, 15 single-leg squats on the left, and then 3 handstand pirouettes. The second grouping, female 2 and male 2, then are responsible for the run, then 15 dumbbell bench press and 10 single-leg squats each leg before they do the pirouettes.
Ladies will kick off team test number 3, 400-meter run, as Adrian said earlier, followed by 10 dumbbell bench press at 60 pounds apiece, 15 unbroken single-leg squats on leg 1, 15 on the other, and 3 pirouettes. And Adrian, as we've seen so far, is that you can get everything right, but if you don't have that dialed in, you can be the fastest runner, best one on their single leg, and the best bench presser in the world, but if you don't have that pirouette, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely, and we see already judges' hands up. People are having the opportunity to be a little bit more reckless in this heat, it seems, even with their pacing, like faster times coming off the assault runner, and hopefully that's only due to the amount of confidence they've already got in their ability to do these bench press in big sets or unbroken. And then similar fashion, if you go fast early, and then you find your way to the pistols and you're wobbly, or you find your way to the pirouettes and you're failing, it does you no good to start too fast. So for most teams, they need to build into this and really be focused on running their own personal race.
Looks like first athletes on the bench press. Looks like lane 20, so the left side of your screen. I believe that's CrossFit Condesa Luther MX. And first female athlete going, I can only imagine how tired her triceps are from all the muscle-ups, the ring muscle-ups she did for her team yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like they haven't done anything yet. They've done a lot of muscle-ups as we watch CrossFit Invictus. We've got CrossFit Franco Misfits, CrossFit Omnia, several of the teams now making their way through these pistols. And the beautiful thing about this, Chase, and I know we talked about it in the last heat, is this is going to be a full-speed race for these athletes that do have these movements in their back pocket, meaning they've reached mastery of them, they're confident in their ability, and that's where the real excitement's going to come down.
And this is not the first time we've seen this basically standard of an unbroken set of pistols on a single leg. We got it from the games last year on the speed medley for the individual. So if you're coming to semifinals, this is something you should have been practicing.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got to have a really good idea on what we've seen from the test so far. And hopefully these athletes were taking notes all season long, listening to the CrossFit Games podcast, listening to the two of us shoot it about the season, having Boz on, talking about the description of the test and why certain things are present, and that could have given them plenty of cliff notes in regards to where they needed to put their focus.
Looks like your early leaders will be in lane number 9, CrossFit Omnia, as we're past the 3-minute mark, approaching the 3:30 mark.
CrossFit Omnia got there first. Then we had CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable, because of course they got both squads out here on the floor. And now we've also got CrossFit Invictus across the finish line, and their males are running.
CrossFit Invictus being one of those teams that are bringing back all their members from their games team last year that podiumed, with ambitions to come out here and win the whole thing. Obviously, you've got to get there first, but when you talk about teams that could either be in podium contention or even top of the leaderboard contention, because, Proven is the big name to beat at the moment just because of the athletes on paper. But Adrian, you know better than anybody else. It's not just having the best 4 individuals. It's about having the best team, complete team, whether it's abilities, communication, the way they work together. Honest, the way you guys suffer together is a big component about that. What is it about the 4 blending together versus good individuals that really distinguish a good team from the best from someone not being on a podium?
Well, it's interesting because I use this kind of description in many different instances, but from a team perspective, you don't want the 4 best individuals. You want the best 4. And it's important to have high capacity. Your athletes have to be well-rounded in a test just like this one here in test 3 that we're getting depicted. You do have to be well-rounded. You can't hide your weaknesses behind other teammates' strengths because you're all going to be exposed at some point. But the way these teams come together, like we saw yesterday in test 1 and even in test 2 with all the synchronization that was demanded of them from the worm and the muscle-ups and the thrusters, that's really where most of the breadth of these tests are going to come down to, and of course be the dictator in full success.
Couple more teams with their first female off the board as the men are taking their turn. And it looks like on the left side of your screen is that Omnia and Invictus Unconquerable. Invictus Unconquerable, are they in the white?
And Unconquerable in the white. We've got Omnia in the green top. And then we've also got CrossFit Invictus here in the white tops in lane 11, making fast work of these pistols and certainly closing the gap on the 2 leaders.
First male athletes will do a 400-meter run, same as the female athletes, followed by 10 dumbbell bench press at 90 pounds each, 15 single leg squats on one leg, unbroken, 15 on the other, and 3 handstand pirouettes. Now, Adrian, we hear the word unbroken. We saw what that meant last week. What does unbroken mean here at these semifinals?
So to be very clear about it, the pistol starts at the top and finishes at the top. If you do 1 repetition, you stand tall and get credit for that repetition. As you go down into rep 2 and you touch the floor, as long as you've opened your hip at the top, you will be discredited only for rep 2 and not lose the previous repetition. But every time you've got to show stability at the top before you ever go down into the next rep, and then you can continue the count from there.
Looks like Joshua El Chama has made up a lot of ground for Team Invictus and have put them in the lead ahead of Omnia and Invictus Unconquerable that you see on your screen.
Yep, and I mean, he charged right through the pistols, and I think he closed the gap there and then even pulled away more significantly through those pirouettes.
Now we're kicking off female 2 and male 2. They will do the same 400-meter run. What will be different is that the bench press reps will move from 10 to 15, both at 60 and 90 pounds for the men and the women. 10 single leg squats on each leg unbroken, and the same 3 pirouettes. Adrian, it doesn't look like a big difference as far as reps on paper, but how it feels, really particularly towards the dumbbell bench. The 5 reps less on the pistol I don't think is going to be a real of a problem for these athletes, but 5 rep difference from 10 to 15 on the bench press. What is that really going to be for these athletes?
I mean, for these athletes, it's a huge difference because of where a lot of these teams are in regards to their capacity. And I'm not going to speak for even necessarily the top 5 or top 7 teams that are here out on this competition floor, but for those teams that are potentially on the cut line and towing between that 14th position and that 7th position, I think it's a huge difference because of how often the drop-off is from particular skill sets or capacities in the upper body. And even with the pistols, I mean, the 5 reps there seem like, not a big deal. But if you do have a home run hitter in the upper body and they're benching and killing it, those pistols could present a problem for that body type or that specified athlete. So I love the way this is pieced together that way. You know, you each got to carry the brunt of the load somewhere, and the pressure's on the whole time.
The other thing, too, is the standards of which the dumbbell bench are, because a lot of times if we've done dumbbell bench in the gym is that we roll back from that seated position, start from the chest, and press up. The rep is going to start at the top of that press out. You're not getting credit for the chest press to a lockout position, and that adds a little layer of complexity for an athlete that maybe not have the stamina and strength to do these dumbbell bench press.
That's right, and you mentioned that, Chase, and we see CrossFit Invictus, who's the current leader. Their female that's currently working on the bench, get a no rep, have to go down, and as she lays back, we're going to see what type of execution she's got, but she's going to lay back, it looks like, with the dumbbells directly on her chest instead of kicking back to straight arms. And, what's important for the spectators to understand is that she will not get credited for that first lockout. It has to start at the top and end at the top, similar to the pistol. And yeah, Chase, look, this is one of those instances, bro. Hey, if you've been spending time in the gym and you've been banging and slanging some dumbbells, your experience is paying off.
There might be a few people at home being like, finally, when I'm not there.
That's right. And then they're praying that their affiliate will program this test several times in the future and as frequently as possible.
Or a couple athletes like, see, coach, I told you we need to do more of this in the group class.
Give us some more bench press, please. And this is where we've seen the lead change now. Of course, we've got CrossFit Francos Misfits. We've also got CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable. And even in lane 9, we've got CrossFit Omnia, and they have a slight edge on CrossFit Invictus.
It looks like lanes 8, 9, and 10, CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable, as you said, CrossFit Omnia, and CrossFit Francos Misfits. And
Unconquerable and Franco's Misfits first to the pirouettes.
Side by side, working these pirouettes. Now, athletes can go unbroken if they want to. They don't have to, but they must start behind the yellow and walk past the yellow for it to count. And these two ladies look like they're going to try to do everything they can to get their team into a first-place position going to that fourth and final athlete.
Wow. These men in lane 10 and in lane 8 entered that air runner like they're synchro, and they're not even on the same team.
Right side of your screen in lane 11. That looks like CrossFit Invictus just to the right side of your screen. And Alchama, who was the second male athlete, got them ahead. Yep. And you can see how quickly this tide can turn in this particular test with the dumbbell bench being an unknown element at this intensity. And I think at this intensity is a big part about this test is like, listen, when I'm comfortable, I'm confident. When I'm tired, that's a different story.
Yeah, and there's different levels of fatigue. Athletes sometimes do a great job, Chase, settling into a grind for 10 minutes or 8 minutes or beyond. But when you ask it of them to send it or sell part of their soul on a run, and then they have to execute high skills, that's when sometimes that the moment seems a little bigger than perhaps they're ready for. And that's even what we talked about even in the previous heat with Justin, when we had Justin Collar here joining us, was that you only run as fast as you're allowed to run, and your other skills and capacities should dictate how fast that is.
Top teams are on their final male athlete, 400-meter run, 15 dumbbell bench press, 10 unbroken single leg squats on leg 1, followed by leg 2, and then 3 pirouettes. I believe the official clock is approaching that 12-minute mark, which means we'll only have 4 minutes left. So these teams are well ahead of the pace we saw.
Oh my goodness!
For the teams
Chase,
in Heat 1.
We've got CrossFit Franco's Misfits and CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable going rep for rep on the bench press. Neither of these guys look like they have intentions of putting them down. Hands up. Only one more rep here for the Misfits. And right into pistols. Wow. That transition in itself was able to create more separation between their team and Unconquerable, which was going back and forth through the bench press even.
And in the middle part of your screen in the all black for Franco's Misfits, that is Logan Collins. Not someone you want to go head-to-head with when it's a single-leg squat race. Nope. But we'll have to see how these pirouettes form because Logan Collins, unbroken on the bench press, so far unbroken on the single-leg squats, and he is looking to get to these pirouettes and give Franco's Misfits an event win.
Yeah, he did get hit with one no rep there, didn't stop at all, stayed on the one leg, didn't even pause, and now he's into the pirouettes.
Here comes Logan Collins, center part of your screen in the all black, mid lane, working his way through. 2 pirouettes down, 1 more pirouette to go for Logan Collins and Franco's Misfits, who came in first place after day 1 and should maintain a first place position after test event number 3.
And Chase, in lane 11, CrossFit Invictus has closed the gap and now finished the workout in second place.
Invictus hard charged to try to close the gap on Franco, so it looks like they'll have second place unofficially. Again, nobody finished this test in heat number 1, as this is the second and final heat for team test number 3. But as it stands right now, it looks like Franco's Misfits is getting a slight edge on CrossFit Invictus, as we are halfway through the number of tests we have for these teams to take on. I would have liked to seen how fast Jorge and Hernandez close on that last leg, because it looked like they were well behind.
They were. I'm not kidding you when I say those men probably had at least 35 to 40 seconds on the runner before he touched it. So he was humming on that assault runner.
Just over or less than 2 minutes remaining before we hit that 16-minute cap. We still have a few teams, maybe half the field still left on the competition floor.
Yeah, and this is the thing about this test, and we've talked about it, we've mentioned it several times, but the tides can turn so quickly. We watched even teams in Heat 1 come out, and their very first athlete was going smoothly, and all of a sudden they ran into trouble with the pirouettes and never got through. So for you to go from feeling great on that assault runner to running into trouble with either the bench press or the pistols or the pirouettes, it speaks to the unique design of this test, and I love it. It's made for an extremely exciting atmosphere here for us this morning.
Now, I know it's a second place finish unofficially for Invictus, currently second overall. There was a little bit of a stumble on the pirouettes for their second female athlete. Second place, should be happy about it. Do you have to manage maybe some of that panic mode that can settle in for individuals on the team? Do you see that happening in a team setting?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, man. We see it firsthand here as we notice even the athlete that struggled with it a little bit, Devin. She was emotional after finishing, and even after watching Jorge close that gap from probably the deficit that she believed in herself could have created for her team, she just felt like she perhaps let them down, and there's a balance there. And I could see her teammates assuring her, hey, we got you. We were able to cover that deficit. You know, we made do with what we had. So I think it's about them supporting her. And it happens all the time for each and every team in different ways where, you know, at some point throughout the series of tests here in this event, like they're going to feel like they let their teammates down to some way, and it's up to the rest of the team to pick them up.
And that will do it for team test number 3.
10 teams in this fourth and final heat, and Franco's Misfits, your overall leaders, will be in lane number 5. Again, 2 wins and a second place, and they're coming off a test win earlier today in test number 3, as it's going to be Brandon Luckett and Alexis Johnson paired up. Logan Collins and Shaylin Laurie are on the left.
Now this is a test right out of the gates where this team of Franco's Misfits, they're coming off of 2 first place finishes. So we're going to see what they can hold on and get a third one of the weekend.
CrossFit Invictus in lane 6. They sit in second place overall. They have yet to finish lower than third here in this competition, and one of the favorites coming in. They were one of the first teams to the dumbbells.
We talked about the timing of these dumbbells, and you'll see these athletes with the lighter dumbbell. This is a 60-pound for the 10 reps on the left, and you have 20 reps on the right. So that's double the reps. So you're going to have to make sure you time this perfectly, so when you meet at the box to switch, your teammates aren't hanging on and waiting too long for you.
NOBULL is the official footwear and apparel brand of CrossFit. You can shop now by scanning the QR code on your screen. And it is Invictus who leads early here in round 1. Both of their pairs onto the box jumps. And we'll see who makes the transition first into round number 2.
We'll notice these box jumps are going to be 24 inches on the left and then 30 inches on the right. That is going to be both for females and males, which for some of these shorter athletes, the females, it might be give them a harder time for those 30-inch box jumps.
Brittany Weiss and Josh Alchama are now done. They will switch with Fernandez and Kim, and Invictus is in the lead early. Invictus Unconquerable and Omnia right behind them. And now Franco's Misfits have just made the transition. They're towards the back here at the end of round 1.
See Jorge and Devin, they are pulling, they are using their legs and going at a fast tempo on this ski erg. There is no room. It's 10 calories for the men, 7 for the women, and we have got to go. This is not a rest period in this test.
They got through that first round in 1 minute and 40 seconds.
That is fast.
Fernandez and Kim onto the dumbbell snatches. So are Alchama and Weiss.
I was able to speak to Josh Alchama before this, and he said they decided to pick their pairs by height, and that him and Brittany were a little bit better. Their timing was better on those dumbbell snatches because you see it, they have to lock out at the top. Both heads of the dumbbells have to hit the floor at the same time. So just height-wise, they made a better match.
$10 minutes, 3.57 seconds from CrossFit Believe. That is the time to beat. Now, after this test, there's only 2 that remain, as on Saturday we will find out the 10 teams that will represent the North America West Semifinal at the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games. Meanwhile, that last team in is down in lane 10. We'll keep an eye on them. That's the Rhino CrossFit Dogs. They had a 6-point cushion coming into this test for 10th place.
And I spoke with the Rhino CrossFit Dogs coach, Justin Kotler, and he said this test is all about putting your big girl and big boy pants on, and you have got to make it hurt.
Invictus, they are now into round number 3. And they have really separated themselves here from the rest of the field. Jorge Fernandez and Devin Kim on the rower. And Invictus Unconquerable, they are in second place with CrossFit Omnia right behind them.
Speaking with Adrian Bosman, the director of competition, he said this is a engine test. So when you have to make sure that if you are the pair that falls behind, you do not want to fall too far behind because it's a compounding effect. You'll be more tired, your teammates are waiting for you, it's going to set you behind. So staying on track and trying to pace this out and time it out perfectly with that other side is going to be very crucial in this.
Kim and Fernandez onto the 60 and 90 pound dumbbell. On the right side of your screen is Joshua Alchama and Brittany Weiss. They are onto the 50 and the 70 pound dumbbell. 20 reps on the lighter dumbbells, 10 reps on the heavier ones. And Fernandez and Kim are done. And they're moving to the 24-inch box where they will perform 15 reps each.
And you notice they have their timing down perfectly. As soon as one partner opens up their hips and knees extended at the very top of their rep, that's a good rep. Your partner can jump up. We talked about if they were going to step down, if they were going to jump down, but it looks like for them, this jump down is very quick and very efficient for them.
Meanwhile, Invictus Unconquerable in lane 3, Burton CrossFit in lane 2, and Omnia in lane 4, fighting for second place behind Invictus. Franco's Misfits, last check-in, they were towards the back of the pack.
We talked about that ski, the ski and the 20 dumbbell snatches, 10 reps at a higher jump is going to be a little bit more taxing aerobically. So they made Jorge and Devin were waiting a little bit for Josh and Brittany, but they made that quick switch, and here they are onto that 4th round.
Right now, Invictus is ahead of the pace set by CrossFit Believe in the prior heat when they put up the time of 10:03.57 seconds. And the battle for second continues between Unconquerable and Omnia. They are towards the left side of your screen. Invictus Unconquerable, they are in the orange on the left side. That's Eric Carmody and Emily Rethwill who are paired on the skier. And then in the back, Jesse Smith paired with Tyler Soderback.
And I was able to speak with them before. Eric Carmody said he's 35, and the age difference between him and Tyler is 22 and 35. So he's the old man of the team. He's going to make sure that he gets a lot of recovery after this test here.
Invictus continues to lead, and they are absolutely cruising through this test.
I feel like CrossFit Invictus has a lot to prove. They opened up this weekend with a test win, but after that, they really, not taking a first in the next couple of tests, they're really trying to make a statement here that, hey, we are heading and gunning for that top podium spot.
And the only team that has both of their pairs on the box jumps here in round 4 of 5. Lanes 3 and 4, Invictus Unconquerable and Omnia have one pair.
And that's really the key here. If you have one pair on the box jumps, but the other pair, you only go as fast as both pairs when they both finish. You can't switch until they both are complete. So this is a full 4-person working together team test.
Jorge Fernandez and Devin Kim are done, and this is the 5th and final round for Invictus, looking to pick up their second test win of the competition. And depending on what happens with the Franco Misfits, maybe take over the top spot here.
You see them breathing, right? Their heart rate is up. They are exhausted and tired from all of the reps accumulated throughout this test. But you know what? This is the final round, and this is where your mental toughness really sets in, and no better team does this better than CrossFit Invictus.
Meanwhile, Unconquerable and Omnia are still neck and neck for second place. Kim and Fernandez done with their calories on the rower. Meanwhile, Invictus, Franco's Misfits, they just got into round 5 now. So they are moving up, should be in the top 5 in this heat right now. Battle for second is going on the left side of your screen in lanes 3 and 4. Lanes 3, that's Unconquerable. Lane 4 next to them, Omnia.
We see Josh and Brittany from CrossFit Invictus on that right side. They just got hit with a no rep. They have to make sure they lock out at the very top together, but seeing if they can hang on to go 20 reps unbroken on these dumbbell snatch at the very end of this test.
Fernandez and Devin Kim on their 15 box jumps here to close out round 5. And here come Alchama and Weiss. They'll have 10 reps each on the 30-inch box. And CrossFit Invictus is smashing this test right now.
Absolutely. These box jumps still looking good as their first couple sets in the first earlier rounds. They're waiting for them to finish up these final ones on this 30-inch box jump.
Devin Kim is wearing the timing chip, so as soon as Alchama and Weiss are done, she will take off across the finish line. She's on the right side of your screen. 9:41.42, CrossFit East Nashville proven. That looks like it's going to stand, but Invictus is going to get really close. More importantly, they're going to get 100 points for the test victory. 9:45.69 seconds. CrossFit Omnia has come across, as has now Invictus Unconquerable. Omnia got it inside 10 minutes, 9:56.60 seconds. In lane 7, that's CrossFit Kilo 2. And now, this means that Invictus will be your overall leaders. They have made enough ground up on Franco's Misfits, who are now just coming across the finish line, to overtake the Misfits in the overall standings with 2 tests remaining. Lane 8, Coda CrossFit Redemption, they are in. The Rhino CrossFit Dogs, meanwhile, they came across in 5th place in the heat, 7th in the test. That's big for them as they look to hang on to that final qualifying spot. CrossFit 8035 is in, and now CrossFit Complex, they had a solid day 1. They are done, and that leaves Verdant CrossFit in lane 2 as the last team working here. And we still have more than 3 minutes to go, and they're going to make it with no problem. But it's CrossFit Invictus. They pick up their second win of this competition. 9:45.69 seconds, the second best time we have seen so far in this test. And they will be your overall leaders heading into the 3rd and final day of competition. Here are the 10 teams that will be on the floor, and they are your 10 teams that came into the day in the top 10 spots in the overall standings. Your overall leaders, CrossFit Invictus, they will be in lane number 5, and for more on them, here's Nikki Brazier.
We've been talking a lot about the 3 Invictus teams that are out here on the competition floor this weekend, but what may be even more impressive is the giant community that they have rallying around all 3 of them. I was able to catch up with some of their coaches yesterday, and they let me know what a large part of their affiliate community these elite teams are, how they help with programming, with coaching, how they take classes with the members, and that's why they're able to really use that foundation of the affiliate to get those elite teams down here onto the competition floor.
Thank you, Nikki. Well, while we were resetting for this final heat, the score to beat has been updated. Salty Hive actually got 62 reps, so they are still your leaders. 62 reps for Salty Hive out of heat number 2 is your top mark. First round underway for the men here in heat number 4, 275 pounds on the barbell.
But we expect to see these guys go touch and go. They're power cleaning. They don't need to drop into the bottom of their squat yet. They're going to go quickly through these and get their next teammate out there and give them as much time as possible.
There's Joshua Alchama for Invictus. They have yet to finish lower than 3rd in any test. They've already won 2.
As soon as you start to slow down, you got to get off, because 1 minute is not a lot of time.
More than halfway through this opening round. Now 20 seconds remain for the men. There is Invictus Sea of Green. Now back to Joshua Alchama in lane 5 for CrossFit Invictus.
Joshua Alchama is staying on the competition floor, but Jorge Fernandez has to get 1 lift in, but before he can, otherwise I don't think he will be able to move on to the next barbell.
Fernandez didn't get on the floor. So that'll be something to watch. Down in lane 9, Rhino CrossFit Dogs, our leaders right now. That's Christine Middleton at 195 pounds.
These women cycling this 195 like it's 95 pounds on that bar. She's catching it nice and high, fast elbows coming through and around, standing all the way up, making each rep count.
Dakota CrossFit Redemption down in lane number 2. They're in the top 3 right now.
So we talked about strategy. Do you put your stronger athlete first and let them get as many reps as they can fresh, or do you save them for that back half and really let them go, let it go, and then get 2 minutes of rest?
Back down to the Dogs, the Rhino CrossFit Dogs, as Brittany Morella is going to close things out for them. And now let's see who got what. While we're doing that, let's bring in Nikki Brazier.
I was able to catch up with Kelly Stone a little bit before the competition started, just to ask her about what was going on with her team, Omnia. And she said that, she was coming off of that individual training season, but with the team, they're actually able to train together almost every single day of the week, and that has helped so much with their overall dynamic and communication. Clearly, it's been paying off so far for them in the competition.
Rhino CrossFit Dogs, they lead right now with 34 total reps. Down in lane 7, CrossFit Kilo 2's got 30. And in lane number 2, Coda CrossFit Redemption also has 30.
And just to give you a little bit, East Nashville Proven last weekend, they have the world record on this test with 73 total reps, and they had 35 total heading into the second round.
Round 2 underway. Men's weight moves up to 295 pounds. Again, the score to beat is 62 reps. And it's the Rhino CrossFit Dogs towards the top of your screen.
Now, right away, we had talked about putting your stronger athlete first or second. I had talked to Josh Alchama before this, and he had talked about the strategy going into this, but as of now, Jorge Fernandez hasn't lifted a barbell, so he cannot continue and help out Josh in any of the next 2 rounds.
That's Rafael Duran for the Rhino CrossFit Dogs. Now here comes Ethan Helbig, former individual CrossFit Games competitor.
Making light weight of that second barbell at 295. Makes a quick transition from those power cleans to squat cleans. That's an experienced athlete. That'll close out things for the men. Now the women step up to 200
15 pounds.
Still,
Christine Middleton going first.
and she is one of the strongest athletes we have in this sport, so we expect big things out of her here and at the next barbell.
The Rhino CrossFit Dogs are your leaders. Coda CrossFit Redemption in lane 2. They're towards the front as well. And then Franco's Misfits in Kilo 2 in lane 6 and 7.
Still power cleaning. Big drive off the ground, catching nice and high. Fast elbows around it and standing all the way up.
I believe that's Randall Del Rose for Coda CrossFit Redemption.
She'll drop it, take a second, collect herself, get right back to that barbell.
Final seconds here in round 2. And that rep will count on the left side for Del Rose. The Rhino CrossFit Dogs look to still be your leaders here, and we'll wait for the scores to get updated. But Rhino CrossFit Dogs through 56 reps right now.
And
In lane 7, CrossFit Kilo 2's got 51. But for RP Strength, the official nutrition coaching platform of the NOBULL CrossFit Games, you can scan the QR code or visit rpstrength.com/CrossFit to learn more. And we will reset for round 3, but 56 for the Rhino CrossFit Dogs. That is your top score right now. And it looks like it's Omnia that's up there as well. They have 48, and CrossFit Kilo 2 at 51 as we begin the final round at 315 pounds. You see the test record on your screen, 73 reps from East Nashville Proven.
And last weekend, East Nashville Proven, they had 58 reps going into this round, so they were only 2 reps behind that. We can see if they can keep up with that pace or possibly beat that.
Rafael Duran for Rhino CrossFit at 315 will get that. And here comes Ethan Helbig.
We'll see if he decides to go touch and go. Power cleans. He's going to drop each one. Just make it a quick switch to squat cleans.
The Coda CrossFit Redemption on lane 2 are putting on a charge here. That's Kevin Schutz, who's going to close things out. And now Randall Del Rose and Taylor Looney will take over for Coda CrossFit Redemption through 57 reps. So they're putting a little pressure right now on the team on the right, the Rhino CrossFit Dogs.
Just power cleaning through this 235. That is crazy. So sometimes it's not even about what your 1 rep max is, but it's also how fast you can move a high percentage or 80, 90%.
Well, unofficially, the Rhino CrossFit Dogs have taken the lead at 66 reps, but we'll wait for their total. Now they're at 67. And Middleton can't hit that to make it 68.
So now she's going to switch over to that squat clean, take a couple seconds, collect her breath, big drive up with her legs. Sticking with power cleans.
Middleton continuing to work for the Rhino CrossFit Dogs. And that's going to do it. And Rhino CrossFit looking to bring home their first test win of the competition. Unofficially 69 total reps for them. We'll have to see where everybody else wound up, but that looks like it is going to be the best score that we see on the floor for that final heat. 10 teams here in this 4th and final heat, and these are the teams coming in that were in the top 10 in the overall standings. Half of them have already clinched. One of those is CrossFit Omnia, 2nd place overall. They have yet to finish lower than 6th. Meanwhile, CrossFit Invictus, they look like they have wrapped the whole thing up, but still a little bit of work to do for them. And for more on that team, here's Nikki Brazier.
Yep, unfortunately, as you can see in the front there, Jorge is dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury and did not feel particularly good yesterday, so he didn't participate in any of the heavy cleans that we saw in the earlier test, but that Invictus team still believes that they're able to complete this. They're actually out here to win this test, regardless of the fact that they're in first place. They want to take it all home.
CrossFit Invictus in first place with 461 points. In lane 10, that's Einhorn CrossFit Ascend. And they would be the last team in with 329 points. Now, undefeated CrossFit, they're out of the picture. Verdon, they still have a pulse, but they're going to need a lot of help here. Einhorn's going to have to fall apart here in this heat.
We're looking at these athletes. They look like they're going to settle into this nice pace, but they are moving quickly because at this rate, everyone's going to have about the same level of high-skill gymnastics. So this worm is going to be a separator in this test for all these teams here.
The CrossFit Franco's Misfits in lane 4. Now they have 4 reps remaining. In lane 5, Invictus, they're the first to advance the worm. And in lane 6, Omnia, one of the teams that has clinched a spot, advancing the worm. There go the Misfits. And then in lane 9, Invictus Sea of Green and Einhorn Ascend, all towards the front here.
Yep.
And now it's the 1-seated rope climb for each female athlete. And then the 10 strict chest to wall handstand push-ups for the men. Then they will switch.
These athletes do have to do that legless rope climb, legless on the way up as well as on the way down.
And now they will switch, will Invictus. Jorge Fernandez and Joshua Alchama, they will move to the rope climbs. And it's Devin Kim and Brittany Weiss on the handstand push-ups.
Sean, we've talked a lot about Invictus and CrossFit Franco's Misfits, but Omnia is sitting in 2nd place. They finished 7th place at the games last year, and they're returning 3 out of their 4 team members, adding an incredible athlete in Kelly Stone. I caught up with them earlier, and they said they came here to win the whole thing this weekend, so they're going to be giving everyone a run for their money in that top podium spot.
And they haven't made a lot of noise as far as a test win is concerned, but as I mentioned, they have yet to finish lower than 6th, and they have 2 second-place finishes as well. They've been extremely impressive over these past 3 days. Now Invictus and Omnia will be the first 2 to start round 2, and here come Franco's Misfits.
And we'll see here the teamwork, who has been training together, who knows each other well, who knows when we're going to have to slow down the pace just a second to wait for one of our team members. But if you can, they're going to try to push that pace.
Invictus Sea of Green, they are onto the worm, and here comes Einhorn CrossFit Ascend, just hanging out where they need to right now because a lot of the pressure is off because of what happened in that prior heat. Now this is down in lane number 1. This is CrossFit Believe in 9th place. They are certainly not safe either. They're starting to run into some troubles here on the wall-facing handstand push-ups.
The seated legless rope climb's not a problem. These chest-to-wall handstand push-ups are going to be a little bit more difficult. Speaking with Duke Van Vliet, a high-level gymnastics coach, he said this is more of a freestanding handstand push-up with a lot of that weight on your shoulders.
Well, Shelby Jones and Lauren Olson are struggling here, and they're taking some time to talk things over, and they are falling towards the back of this pack. So remember, CrossFit Complex, they finished 2nd right now in the test, although that looks like that score is going to drop significantly given what we're watching here right now. But Believe needs to be cognizant of that. As now Invictus is on their strict handstand push-ups. Joshua Alchama going through those.
Women in the back are going to be doing these legless rope climbs. You can get a big jump up there. It's going to be 2 of those. You can use your legs on the way down.
Invictus Sea of Green starting now round 2. As Invictus is on the cusp of sending 3 teams to the CrossFit Games.
Just incredible. CrossFit Mayhem was able to do that last year, but Invictus has a great qualifying chance of having all of these athletes do well at the CrossFit Games, making the top 10.
Einhorn CrossFit Ascend in lane 10. Sierra Cole and Abby Fletcher on the rope. Zach Carroll Ramirez and Casey Viator on the wall for that team. Coming in 10th place overall.
And although these are strict handstand push-ups, the normal way we're used to doing these, the fatigue is building up from those burpee worm push-ups, burpees over the worm, as well as all of the handstand push-ups they did in the earlier round.
Viador and Zachary Ramirez making the switch with Fletcher and Sierra Cole there for Einhorn Ascend, looking to hang on to a qualifying spot. Now finally down in lane 1, CrossFit Believe. They just started round 2 here, along with the Rhino Dogs. Rhino Dogs there on the left side, judge's hand in the air. But there's a great battle going on right in the middle of the floor between Invictus, Franco's Misfits, and Omnia.
This is going to be a close race, Sean. They are all neck and neck, right next to each other. You know exactly where everyone is at, who is going to push that pace, who's willing to go where it hurts, to risk it all to try to take the test win.
Invictus is done first with their burpees. Right next to them, Omnia picking up the worm here. Invictus gets right to work, as does Omnia, practically squat cleaning that thing off the ground.
That's it. You got to pick it up, drop straight to the bottom of your squat, get those squats going down and up at a nice pace, hit the bottom altogether, pop back up, and you got to get back to your third and final round of gymnastics work. The cadence and the speed of those squats from Invictus just a little bit quicker than Franco's Misfits and Omnia. We'll see what happens when we get into this third round. We see Jorge Fernandez kind of walking back slowly, but because Josh can do those, he's up for those handstand push-ups first, Jorge's going to get a little bit of a break.
Einhorn CrossFit Ascend there in lane 10. Right where they need to be here in this heat. As in lane 9, CrossFit Invictus Sia Green looking to close out round number 2. Now the teams in the prior heat are all still out on the floor watching. That's Overtake Team Density.
And they must be watching on these sidelines, just praying that they did enough to make it into that top 10.
And they're all, those teams that are still out there on the floor, are all about 10 feet away from Einhorn CrossFit Ascend, the team that they hope punts this one into the stands. But right now, that's not happening. Well, this is the battle for first place here in this test between Franco's Misfits, Invictus, and Omnia.
The battle for first in this test and also for the podium spot to take the whole entire weekend over 6 tests.
There goes Jorge Fernandez for Invictus.
Glad to see his hamstring holding up here.
20 handstand push-ups that each teammate needs to complete. Then it's back to the worm for 15 final burpees and 15 squats.
I spoke with Alexis Johnson before this test, and she said those 20 handstand push-ups were some of the hardest of her entire life, and she's a former gymnast.
Well, Franco's Misfits have now taken the lead. Here comes Omnia in second.
This is going to be a great race. We see how low they're staying when they jump over that worm. They're going to pop up, stay nice and low, so get back down to the ground.
Well, Omnia's got to beat Invictus by 2 spots if they want a chance of taking the top spot on the podium, because Invictus will have the tie break. But Franco's Misfits almost done here with their burpees, and Omnia now in their final 5. Here comes Invictus to join them. Franco's Misfits, 15 worm squats, and they are going to absolutely smash that top time.
Alexis also said that this was their favorite test out of all 6 of them. She was their whole entire team was looking forward to this one most.
Franco's Misfits, they have already won 2 tests. They took test 2 and test 3, and they're looking to pocket their 3rd win here, and we will see the Misfits in Madison, Wisconsin. Test win to close things out here at the North America West Semifinal. And now Omnia is going to come across. But again, they needed to get someone between themselves and that team in order to take the entire thing here. And we may actually have a 3-way tie in points between the Misfits, Invictus, and Omnia. And the Misfits have won 3 tests. That could be the tiebreak that puts them on top of the podium. But we'll have to wait how this all sorts out. Well, CrossFit Believe in lane 1, they are really struggling. And remember, there are some teams out there that could possibly catch them, depending on what happens here. But they have a lot of time left to get a decent result here in this test. Top of the screen, Einhorn CrossFit Ascend, CrossFit Invictus Sea Green, and Coda CrossFit Redemption all trying to get across the finish line. And then the bottom, that's the Rhino CrossFit Dogs. They still have another round to go here. Coda CrossFit Redemption and Einhorn CrossFit Ascent working on their worm squats in the middle. It's Invictus Sea Green. These are the standings coming in. CrossFit Believe in a little bit of trouble here, so that could get interesting.
These final worm squats, this is where you have to make it hurt, push, because you know this is it to the end of your weekend.
Redemption is in, Einhorn is in, and looking like they're going to head to the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games. And Invictus Sea Green might want to start making some travel arrangements as well, as they are done.
All of CrossFit Invictus, their whole entire affiliate will be there.
Top 6 teams in this heat have the top 6 times so far in this test. This is Kilo 2 in lane 7. They were 4th place overall coming in. They had already clinched a spot. Again, the top 5 coming in had already clinched.
And they're coming off of a 25th place finish at the games last year, and they have this 3 out of their 4 members back from that last year's team.
The Rhino CrossFit Dogs are now to the worm for the final time. And now in lane 3, here comes CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable. They were 5th place overall, so they are safe despite the fact that they are towards the back of the pack here in this final heat. Now Kilo 2 looking to get across the finish line and wrap up their semifinal. They have 3 reps remaining. And now they are in. Lanes 2 and 3, that's where the Rhino CrossFit Dogs and Invictus Unconquerable are working. Rhino CrossFit Dogs now hoisting up the worm.
They have a strong
15
athlete
squats.
in Christine Middleton. I talked to Raph before this, and he said that she lifted in those cleans before 1 less rep than him and his teammate combined, the males on that team.
Final couple reps for the Rhino CrossFit Dogs, and they are done. And there are the teams that are trying to see what happens. On the right is 80-35. They might still be alive here, because remember, down in lane 2, lane 1, CrossFit Believe, they're still working, and we have a minute left to go. Invictus Unconquerable, they're going to take 13th in this test. The CrossFit Complex has now slid to 8th place in the test, and 8035 is down to 11th. So Complex will earn 79 points, and 8035 will earn 70.
And what we're looking at here is just the accumulation of fatigue in the shoulders. She has to shake it out for a second from all the worm burpees, all the gymnastics work before that. It is just completely, your shoulders are so tired, so fatigued, and feels like there's nothing left in the tank.
8035 trailed CrossFit Believe by 60 points.
Ladies and gentlemen, you ready to hear who made it to Madison, Wisconsin for 2023? I am. I'm sure these teams are. First off, congratulations to all the teams who fought hard this weekend. We are going to start first with third, second, and first. I've got to say, there was a three-way tie. These three teams all had 555 points, so it came down to event finishes. Taking third with 555 points, CrossFit Omnia. In second, also with 555 points, it's CrossFit Invictus. That leaves your top team, your number one for the North America West NOBULL CrossFit Semifinal with 555 points, CrossFit Franco's Misfits. And now, for fourth place with 528 points, CrossFit Kilo 2. In fifth with 486 points, put your hands together for Coda CrossFit Redemption. In sixth with 483 points, CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable. In seventh with 444 points, Rhino CrossFit Dogs. In eighth with 432 points, CrossFit Invictus Sea of Green. Invictus sending not one, but two, three teams. In ninth, with 417 points, Einhorn CrossFit Ascend. And for our last and final spot, 10th and 11th, we're separated by just 1 point. Cuts deep, I know. In 10th, with 364 points, CrossFit Believe! It's going to be CrossFit Believe, Einhorn CrossFit Ascend, CrossFit Invictus Sea of Green, Rhino CrossFit Dogs, CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable, Coda CrossFit Redemption, CrossFit Kilo, CrossFit Omnia, CrossFit Invictus, CrossFit Franco's Misfits. We will see you in Madison, Wisconsin for the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games.